All right, all right, all right. Welcome, everyone. Episode number 84. Pushing the 100. We're getting there. We're getting there. And I guess we had on a few times. And like it felt like we just talked yesterday. I mean, we talked in between, right? But it has been actually a couple of months since he was on last time. So I thought it's time to catch up and have a chat again. For those who wonder, actually, I actually wrote it down because I looked it up. Episode number
My name is
9.
Bjorn. No.
His name is Bjorn. Exactly. I had to look it up. But he was on episode number 9 very early on. Number 23, number 50 with Kenda, number 63 with Sutonia, Three Tiers, Casper, and Baltrum, just like, as a streamer thing. And then also on 65 with Noros. So for those who want to listen to any of those older episodes.
That's way more than I remember.
Same. I mean, we talk like every now and then anyway, so like it's hard for me to guess like how many of those conversations we had were actually FC chat and how many were.
I feel like I've been here twice, maybe.
Yeah, I thought 3 times. That's what I thought. And then I looked it up. I was like, oh, 5. All right. But then again, number 9. That's I don't even know how long ago. It's probably 1.5 years, almost 2 years ago.
Like a year and a half ago.
Yeah. I was looking at the card, the FC chat card thing. My friend actually was talking to me about it. He's like, "You're not there. Like, you don't go to low sec anymore. You don't do this." I was like, "Yeah, it's from like 2019 ish."
Yeah, I didn't. I think there was one card that we updated at some point. I forgot who it was, but other than that, we never updated them. Right? Yeah. I mean, unless someone says like, "Hey, please update this. Let's change this to whatever." Right? More than fine to do that. But yeah. I'm not sure what did I ping out we're gonna talk about, but my list is pretty long actually, and I think the number one thing people are probably interested in is the ESS change that or let's say that's probably the thing you have the strongest opinion about, the ESS aggression timer thing. So I'm pretty sure we have the same opinion there, but what's your take on that change? For those who are wondering, actually, let me quickly explain. Now you get aggression for being spooled up. So the second you stop spooling, you have to wait 15 minutes before you can do anything, right? So what's your take on that one?
Terrible. I don't want to like shut down the whole talk about the ESS, but I have it on pretty good authority. It's gonna not be like this for too long. I was actually approached by CCP to talk about this because I was kind of vocal about this, and I rarely, if ever, like voice my opinion on changes in the game. I've streamed the game for like 6 years. The first time I've ever bitched to CCP about anything was about the when you couldn't zoom onto ships. You stopped being able to zoom properly and see like ship guns. So you couldn't tell if like a Macario landed was a RD or autocannon fit. And I was like turbo, like bitching them about this. And that's like the first time in like no, but like all the small gangers were like, dude, this is AIDS. Like you land on grid with something, you need to in like a split second see if it's gonna like, is it gonna one shot you or is it gonna burn to you and then slowly whittle you down, right?
Yeah, that would have taken skill out of the game, which obviously sucks.
Yeah. And that's like the first time in more than 5 years that I've been streaming the game that I ever approached someone at CCB and went like, this needs to get fucking fixed. This is not okay. And then with this, I also started talking to them on the partner Discord. I was like, what is the point of this thing? Why has this been changed? And then when I got the answers about why it was, then it was like, it doesn't fix that in any way at all. So yeah, I had to talk with...
what did they say? Why? I don't know what they put in. I don't think they put the reason in
the ESS in general. They want to obviously tweak and, what should I say, balance certain aspects of like people just taking and running and filamenting. However, this doesn't do that. Because this only punishes you if you go into a non-busy area. Because now if you filament in the current way it is right now, let's say you fill him into like a Gila bot area kind of area.
Bot?
You're not,
What are you talking about?
yeah, you're not gonna go and rob an ESS because then you're gonna reset the timer again for 15 minutes, which makes no sense. No one's gonna come fight you, so you're gonna literally just have to sit there for 15 minutes in space after your filament timer, just because you're looking for fights. But like they're trying to tackle it in a like a bad way. I don't want to go like too deep into this thing itself, but it's one of the first times that CCP actually approached me to ask me like, what is a better way, or like what is a.
There's another thing they're trying to fix with it too, which is the save log thing inside, right? So if you're in a proper,
but this doesn't touch that because those aren't ships that have linked to it.
No, well, they could be. I mean, I did it before.
Not. Yeah, but they're not the ones who are linked to it, though.
Not necessarily, but they can be. Like
but this doesn't fix that. By adding this timer,
I couldn't link and then save log. So that would be fixed with that. But yeah.
But who's linking and safe logging? Like doesn't.
So what you would do, for example, right? I did it a few times, not too many times, but you go in there, you filament, you grab the first bank, whatever, you move on, your timer is done, you go into the next one, and if it gets too hot on the outside, you can just hit your save log. In 30 seconds, you're gone. The guys might just go into the ESS, or you just wait, and then you log back in, you're on the outside, right? You could do the same thing with like a slow battleship. I did it with battle cruisers, but you could do it with a battleship, and you don't have to slowboat out of the ESS bubble, right? Because you can just save log, then log back in, and you're instantly back on the outside, not the inside. And
but you still have a timer, like you can't just instantly save log. You have to wait the 30 seconds. Something get in there and ping you before that, right?
In those 30 seconds, yes. But I mean, you get shit on D-scan, and 30 seconds, it's not that long. You can time it. And most of the time, it's not one ship that engages you anyway, right? You see the first ship on D-scan, there's the second one coming. If that dude doesn't come in 10 seconds...
But there is a counter to that. You could not have 15 people jump in. You could just send in one T1 cruiser to ping the guy, right?
At the same time,
some guy with the target pinner.
At the same time, though, you have to be fair there, saying, if I'm on the outside on the SS, I'm waiting for my buddy, because I can't handle, let's say you're inside, I can't handle your ship solo, but I see you're spooled up and you're linked up, I might just wait for Miranda to come in with the Yugen, before I go. But as long as you're spooled up, I know you're on 0 on the beacon, right? But then the second Miranda jumps in, you're just safe logging, and 30 seconds later, you're basically gone. It's like, it's very hard.
I haven't run into that myself.
It's rare.
The only safe logging that I know of is like sniping marauders. Like people will log those off. Like they will log off actual characters who will stay there in ships. Like it looks like there's only 2 characters in system, but they aren't the ships that are actually there. The actual characters are cloaked further off, and then decloak and start sniping you. That's the only.
Me think. What if you just have like 10, 20 curses or something, and then you just aggress them so they don't save log. You bubble them and aggress them. You can anchor bubbles, I think, at like 200 km or something, right? So you just. I'm pretty. Or you have a hick with them. Whatever, right? Who cares about that one hick on skin? But you have 20 curses just locked off, not in local, locked off, but they're all aggressed in the bubble, so they don't warp off. They're just staying there, right? And then those guys slide in, and then suddenly you're like logging in 20 curses. That would be a bit of a log-off trap, but I'm not sure how realistic it would be and how fun it would be, to be honest. Logging off is never fun, really.
Log-off traps are kind of weird. But like at the same time, this kind of a heavy-handed nerf on an entire gameplay because of something like that doesn't really make sense to me. It feels like
it's not negative.
Honestly, this felt like a kick in the dick for the gameplay itself of going around, especially if you go to a non-busy area. Because a lot of the time you take a filament and it takes you to some like really dead or off time zone area. There might be like 30, 40 mil in a bank. No one's going to come defend it.
Consolation prize. But
it's like, I guess I'll filament in 15 minutes because the area sucks. What do I do for 15? I'm here to rob ESSs. I'll poke this. Nobody's going to come. I know it because they never do in this area or whatever.
They might though. At least there's the
Yeah,
opportunity.
but if
That's
they
my
don't, at
no, no,
least you're
I know.
wasting 6-7 minutes in an ESS. You get
I
like 20 mil and you move on, right?
I totally
It's a
agree
heavy
with you.
punishment for a maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I totally agree with you. What I mean with like maybe someone shows up, at least someone's exposed doing something in space instead of just sitting on a safe spot. Nobody knows what he's doing, so nobody's coming after him either.
Yep.
At least there's the chance of something happening by, spooling up on an ESS for those 15 minutes that you have a timer anyway. So, the chance, like, that's always what I say, right? That's all we want as like content creators. Just an opportunity to create it. Like, you don't have to spoon feed us, but there needs to be a certain amount of opportunities, to make stuff happen.
True.
Yeah,
100%.
that will be one of them.
Well, my biggest problem was with this that it felt like it was going to punish the people who are in dead regions more than busy ones. Because in busy regions, you are much more likely to actually get a combat timer when something shows up, and they can keep you there by engaging you. So it felt like a almost like a protecting of dead regions of I want to say it, but botting regions.
Yeah, so like why bother giving an
Yeah.
ESS timer if you're already going to get engaged by things and get the timer anyway? But the only time you're actually going to get an ESS timer instead of the timer anyway from being engaged is when there's nobody there.
Yeah, it felt like a wrong thing. But I think we can move on from the subject, even though it's a hot one because it just happened yesterday. But I got approached by Elise, by Swift, who then asked me to speak to CCP Psych. And apparently, I think he's the one who designed the whole ESS. And we had a small chat before stream today. Just wanted a little bit of feedback, what this actually meant for what they wanted out of ESSs is to make a new kind of profession for people that could go around robbing in small gang stuff. And that's how it was perfect at the very beginning when the ESS was deployed. When it was 5 minutes and 3 hours, it felt like the money that you were getting in them was enough to sustain a 5 to 10 man gang. You were happy after 2 hours of roaming with 5 to 10 people. You would rob enough money. Every average ESS would be around 70, 80 mil. The really big ones were 3, 4, 500 mil. And you needed to properly fight for them. I haven't seen a 3, 4, 500 mil one for a long time now.
Well, I've seen them in R10 and Fortis Age.
Yeah, but those don't count. Those are staging
yeah.
ones, right? That's come on. It's 5 systems in the game versus it being in every region had a gold mine to go and poke at, but you usually didn't because it was way too hot, right?
Yeah, and I had to keep it on the topic for 1 second because we had a heated debate yesterday in Corp Chat. Shout out to Erica. And the argument was that the little guy doing his Ishtar rounds, his ticks are, getting killed every time and stuff. And then, I was told, I'm not reading enough to actually know what's up. And, I don't know if that's right. I don't know if that's right or wrong. If I fly around, I can see what's happening in space, I think. And I fly around a lot, right? But he's right, and when he says, I don't read in an Ishtar, I don't know. Miranda does read in an Ishtar. I don't know how many of your ticks or your ESSs get stolen. And, you're usually in fairly busy systems.
What do you mean with what about the little guy?
So the argument was that when there's people filamenting in and they steal that stuff, you can't really catch them because they save log right after, right? They don't have to float around, do anything. They can just, say
the first time I heard a lot of talking about this safe logging was yesterday. This has not been something that's been discussed regularly. This
Sorry, I said safe logging as I meant they just warp out and filament, right?
Yeah,
so it's very hard to I don't think so. I don't agree with this point, right? But hard to catch them, and then if you don't catch them right there, then and there's no chance to get them anyway. My point was, if someone doesn't want to get caught and he's a decent PvP, he's gonna bounce saves anyway. But then you want to force him to bounce saves 15 minutes. Is that how many times is that going to result in anything? And then how annoying is it for the PvPer? And on average, you want this game to be fun, right? So
Yeah, that kind
you
of
know.
does lead into something I did want to talk to you about when last FC chat you had with CCP Rice.
Hmm.
He mentioned that he wanted to make something so it's easier for people in their area to catch people that are just filamenting and bailing like that. And I was kind of like bummed that I wasn't there to watch it live so I could press him on this. Like, what do you mean? It's like, yes, someone who is
I don't think
competent
he
can
knew
make.
what he.
No, but
what
someone
he
can make
wants.
like a bunch of saves and ping between them for 15 minutes, and you have to ping every time you fucking land. And yes, you can do that, but it's tiring when you've done it for the 5th time in that day. When you're streaming for like, for example, 4 to 6 hours, like you're doing it again and again, you land again into someone's region, and then like fuck, they're combat scanning again, and it's like a fatigue thing, right? You're not going to catch me if I'm on point, but if I make a mistake, if I slip up, if I'm lazy, you will get onto grid with me.
Yeah, but technically, it's like, I don't want to say it's impossible to catch someone. It is, you can increase the chance, but technically it's impossible, right? So if someone's awake,
Yeah, but I could
you're not going to
cloak.
catch.
I could just cloak for
Yeah.
15 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. So like, I don't think he had anything specific in mind that he would like to do. At least that's what I felt. I felt like he just was, he meant to say like, man, I wish there was a way to give just enough chance for people to catch them.
Okay.
For
I
it
was
to
worried
make it
when he said
better.
that. I was like,
I don't think he
solo
has
roaming is
any-
already not the easiest thing you do in this game, right?
Yeah, and that's what I don't think you see a lot of solo, right? That's another thing that's on my list, the overall
But
activity.
and for this to come from Rice, who I knew as Kill 2 from like long time ago, like this idol, this solo
Yeah.
PvP streamer guy.
No, I wouldn't be too
And then I'm
worried.
hearing him talking about, no, the blob should be able to catch you more like easily. I was like, what the fuck?
But I would say I get his point, and I would like to see them more of a chance. I'm not saying there should be like 100% chance if you're like the best PvPer ever. You shouldn't have like 100% chance of catching someone, right? But there should be maybe more of a chance. But how would you give the right amount of a chance?
But what does that mean though?
Like at
That
the
my
moment,
that my warp misfires when you're like combat, like what do you like?
what
do you mean?
like system-wide warp disruption. But then they couldn't warp either, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, right? I don't know the answer to this. I would just like to see good probers having more of a chance to catch stuff.
Have you
How
been
much more?
probed by like? Have you gone solo robbing ESSs in frat space?
Oh yeah, they're quick.
Have you
Especially
ran
when they're stream
into
sniping.
the prober? There was one prober there that is nuts. I forgot his
Yeah,
name.
well, the other day I got stream sniped so hard.
That Frosty's talking about it. That Proteus dude.
Yeah,
There was this dude. I was in a cruiser.
he almost caught me.
He's insanely fast. So like that was in a cruiser bailing from him, and every time I landed, my ship is like aligning to warp again, and he's landing again. And dude, I was sweaty warping for 15
I know,
minutes.
I know exactly
and
what
he
you mean.
was sweaty scanning me, right?
And what happens then if you're under that pressure? You warp to shitty spots. You warp to the spot you already set on before. You warp to a random belt. You warp to and that's where you get caught. Yeah, he almost caught me. Like I warped off. I forgot what I was doing. I think so what happened actually? Right, I filamented into Vale. I got instantly stream sniped. Right, 2 seconds later, there's 2 Lokis and 3 Vargos just fuck me up. Right, and I'm like, okay, forget about this. It's what it is. I filament out again. Where do I end up? In Vale. Not only in Vale, but in their staging system in 4H, where all the guys that just stream sniped me are sitting waiting for me to filament. Right? So the second I filamented and saw where I was, I dropped the mobile depot to refit a cloak, right? But in that time, they already probed me. So I just scooped my mobile depot, and that's where they all landed. And I just warped off just in time. But obviously, I didn't warp off to the best spot. I warped to a gate because I had to be so fucking fast, right? They all followed. They failed to tackle me. And I warped to a belt at range. And then this Proteus kept warping onto me. And I warped to a planet or moon at range quickly, right? And I made a safe spot and turned around. But by the time I turned around, that Proteus was already on me again, right? Man, they were fast, yeah. But yeah,
when you run into someone like that, and then people are talking about, oh, you cannot physically, like you can literally fatigue someone so he stops roaming if you have that kind of pressure on
but
them.
man, it's hard.
It is, but should it be easier?
Yeah, you know, I think so, because I mean, what is the success rate, right? It's not very high. If you probe
No.
people, yeah.
Solo PvPers are not flourishing. My dude. They never have, and they never
I'm
will.
not saying solo PvPers.
Like,
You know, you could also say solo PvPers could profit from it, right? Because people are open around. You could make changes that go both ways, right? I don't know what the changes are, but you know.
but the solo PvPers are the ones that go into the other person's area. Like
Yeah,
the other
exactly.
person just tethers,
people.
right? And then it's over. So
Well, if they just tether, yeah, of course it's over then, right? You can't catch them. But then we can't talk about that. I was on an epic rant the other day, but you know, in thread space actually. But
I'm sure we're gonna talk about structures at some point. Let's keep it happy first.
So like the only thing I'm saying is like it's not impossible to have a change where the chance of getting caught, getting probed is increased. That's a good change. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it would be easy, but I hope that's why nothing was done yet. And that's what Rice also realizes. It's very hard to make any change that doesn't fuck up roamers entirely, right? So that's why nothing is happening. But maybe there is a thing, you know, somewhere, you know, that we haven't thought about just yet.
Probably.
Yeah, that brings like a way like better dynamic into the whole probing, hunting kind of dynamic.
The finding people via probes, I don't think is as much of an issue if you could follow someone through a filament. But then how do you balance that with the filament numbers? Lots of people have talked about how if someone filaments out of your region, but you really want to catch them, you should be able to follow them through the filament.
But then friendlies could follow them too, you know.
That's what I keep bringing up. But you could limit it to some kind of number. If someone uses a 5-man filament, only 5 people could follow through.
Oh, right. Yeah,
but nobody could follow them or something. So like you would technically be buffing a fleet that could filament up to 50 people. So like a 25-man filament could get followed by 25 people. But then those people are also stuck there, right?
So what you could do is, you could do it like that.
Then suddenly we don't have to talk about catching people with combat probes and you know, suddenly like, well, how do you balance filaments then?
So you could make it like that. If you filament out with a 25-man filament, and I land on your needle jack trace or whatever it's called, I could just right click it and say like whatever, keep it open, right? And then it says,
not just that, yeah, not well. Maybe it stays open for 5 minutes.
It's just like an acceleration gate that just stays open for a little bit.
Yeah, but
so you combat probed me before, or it's a trace.
Slots are left. Because I need to know what can I jump through, right?
True. That could be super interesting, actually. If you could chase people through filaments, because suddenly you're dragging that person then out of his home region, out of his element, right? And he's only chasing you through this fucking warp chase through space everywhere.
And to be honest, he might have just jumped and he's busy descanning for hostiles. You know, he might just jump into a system with 3 Ishtas on descan. He's like, oh shit, where are they? While you guys are following and you land on 0 on him, right?
Like the film Looper.
Yeah. I think that would probably be a good balance, especially if, you know, you can't use it, you know, you can't exploit it if it's just limited to the number of people you're actually filamenting. So
or you
would
could
have to make
set
sure
it only to certain filaments. But like, problem then, if it only works for 5-man filaments, I guess, you know, people would just use 25-man filaments if they don't want to get chased through it. So you'd have to have it universal for all the filament
I don't know why you would limit it. I mean,
I guess just because of the whole, you don't want to be able to take 50 people into one region. But then again, you have no choice over where they go
you wouldn't
anyway.
do that. No, I think so. How it would work is if you filament with a 5-man filament, you're alone. There's 4 empty slots. So for 5 minutes, 4 more people could jump that filament. So you can't exploit it in any way.
You could then just go, okay, I guess I'll just filament me and my 4 alts.
Well, if you want to go to that extent, man, how enjoyable is that? Like, that doesn't sound fun at all. Like, filamenting your 4 shuttles, your combat shuttles.
You know, when people are roaming around in 5-man gangs, they're chaseable, I guess. So people would always find something to complain about. What I am suggesting is if there's a 5-man fleet and it filaments out, small gang, then you should be able to chase them through that filament with another 5 people. So you hop through, and then the same number gets to also chase through. Like you don't know where it goes. You have no clue.
But then they bring 10 people, 5 filament and 5 take the gate. You know what I mean? So like, I don't know.
But if they filament, they're not going to go to the same spot because they're filamenting.
No,
I guess they would use the same.
Yeah. They would use your filament, your gate, or whatever you create, the needlejack gate, let's call it, right? So the other 5 would.
Okay, that would kind of get past it too.
It's pointless. But I think even though
it is an interesting idea, though.
Yeah, I think so too. And so if you would have 5 guys, well then so be it. You can't chase them. Then you have the situation right now where nobody can chase them. But if they don't, if you kill 2 of them, suddenly there's 2 slots. Or if
that actually would be super interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, and 25-man filaments rarely are 25 people, right? But then again, would you solo after 25-man, 24-man gang? Probably not, right? So you need a couple slots to actually handle that stuff. But the point is, there's an opportunity, right? And that's what I always ask for is like I mentioned earlier, just having the chance of creating content. It's right there, right? And I don't think that would be. I only see positive sides. Maybe the guys in chat, if you have any way to poke a hole into that, go ahead and do it. But otherwise, I think that would be a pretty solid change, and it would be fun.
Not the way he's explaining it, Fonsa. The way I explained it, then yes, the 50-man stuff. But the way Pando's explaining that, if let's say you're roaming with Pando, and you guys are, let's say, 15 of you, but you're using a 25-man filament, then another 10 people could technically chase you through it. So if a solo roamer is using a 5-man filament and he's completely alone, then 4 more slots are able to jump through and chase for, I don't know, like a minute or something after they jump. Something like that, I don't know. So the filament, when someone uses it, doesn't just disappear. It becomes like a temporary gate that the maximum number can actually go through into just wherever it leads, yeah? That's what you're trying to explain, yeah?
Exactly.
It actually sounds like a really cool idea.
Yeah, I like it a lot too.
And suddenly like a small gang of 2-3 people could start chasing solo roamers around, or, you could try your best, like let's say 3 guys filament out, you chase them through. Like,
or you could set up a trap,
True.
The thing is, you don't know where you filament, which is not necessarily an advantage for the guys filamenting, but that's a good bait for anyone who wants to chase, because they know you don't know where you filament. So that they're going to feel pretty safe following through, because it's going to be on a safe and ready space. And you also feel better about
engaging that gang afterwards, because they're no longer in their home space. They're not going to drop caps on you. They don't have infinite backup waiting for them. They're out of their element as well,
Yeah, I'm already thinking of ways to set up traps though. Now imagine we have a 5-man gang that's visible, but we also have like 2, 3, maybe 5 other ships that are cloaked, just bombers, right? We filament out with 5, we wait, then you land with your 10-man gang, you start jumping, we decloak and jump 2, and suddenly we take up the rest of the slots, and you just jump like 3, 4 guys, you know what I mean? That would be a funny way to do it too, but I think that situation would never occur, because you would have to place so many things right, but it would probably occur at some point by accident. That's my prediction, but nobody would try to do it and then pull it off like that. But who knows?
That could be super interesting, though.
I think so too.
Yeah, I just wonder how many people would actually do it. Like, how many people would actually chase you?
Well, maybe you'd have small gangs chasing each other through filaments. Like that guy was talking about the Looper film, just like between everyone's region.
Nobody warps to any gates anymore, right? Where's the fight? Like on a safe spot, I like it. But yeah, I think Miranda has a good point there. Like most space, they're just happy when you leave, right? They don't want to get trapped in some random space themselves. But maybe
they just want to chase you off.
Not death of small gang. Imagine if there were so many gangs that they were all running into each other too, because it was so busy. That'd be great, dude.
Should you maybe? So how about this? There's the next level, all right? So you're in the 5-man gang. I'm chasing you. with a blob of mutants, okay? We follow you, and then we kill you, and you drop tokens that gets us actually back through the filament. You know what I mean? Like, if we follow you...
No, I think once you followed, you're also out of the element. No, like, fucking takesies, backsies, dude. No easy going back to fucking
But I want to get home.
On.
I don't want to travel home all this way. What the fuck?
And use another filament. I don't know. Use your wormhole network. What are you talking about? Fucking boomerang filaments take me back. I don't like where I am. Come on, no.
We probably should talk about the drifter wormholes just when it comes to the ESS stuff. You know, I can only say just go with drifters for now. That's what I'm gonna do, definitely. I'm not gonna filament at all because I mean I'm gonna carry one, but other than that, I'm just gonna jump out of a drifter, do stuff, and then I know I've got an exit right there, and I can always get home. Way easier, way more reliable that way. And then I don't have to bother with the timer. I don't have to care one bit, which is nice. And then sometimes you can bait them to the drifter hole at the wrong time when drifters are there and they want to block it and they die to drifters. That happened more than once.
Or you drifters.
Oh, I do. Yeah, it happens too. If you know the drifters a little bit though, I mean, depends on the ship type. If you jump out of the wormhole and you're in something too slow, man, you might just die. And you can't do anything about it. But if you warp to the wormhole, usually 99% of the time you're gonna be fine. So
that is like Drew is saying, a lot of prep for a soloer. For something
True.
like you're using them for taking fleets through and having like a highway, like a secret highway for a day.
Yeah.
It's got so many more uses. It sounds like way too much effort, like Drew was saying about.
Well, yeah. I mean,
compare it to filament roaming for like a casual. I've got an hour here to burn. You know?
Yeah, but we also don't just generally map a wormhole for
solo
someone
roams.
to go solo roam somewhere.
Exactly. No. That's the unique lucky position I'm in there. Is like we have a bunch of dudes that map all the time, and it's very easy for us to do, but then also like the Alliance profits from it overall. So
for sure.
And then, it's not a secret. I gave you access and, I'm waiting for you to, make use of it. I will give Michael
Starlight
access. And then let's see, maybe there's some other, solo streamers, small scale streamers that, I just put on a list then, and then they can, use them freely.
The reason I haven't used it much is because I don't want to I don't want to use it and then not want to engage you guys with it. You know what I mean? Same as like when you gave me jump bridge access, I was like, this is not a good idea. I'm just going to use it against you.
Debacle.
I was like, this is terrible. Don't do this, man.
You know what?
Why is Bjorn Bee killing our freighters using our own jump bridges?
Yeah, so I thought there was an unspoken like gentleman's agreement there that when you take a jump bridge in our space, you better not engage something that's taking jump bridges.
There's no way, dude. I'm streaming and like, there's no way.
And you're just like,
let's just let this freighter go. Fuck no, dude.
But the freighter would be safe otherwise. That's the thing, right? The only reason you would have caught him was because you jumped through the jump bridge. But whatever. We had to remove it. Yeah. A little bit. People got a little mad. I'm like, dudes.
Yeah, no,
I didn't know he's gonna go.
I would be like, what the fuck too if I was on my own jump bridge and someone just jumps in and starts killing me. It's like, what?
And then he runs away through the jump bridge again.
Yeah, like, okay.
Yeah, I thought you're gonna like the jump bridge network enough for you to close your eyes every now and then if there's a jump freighter on the jump bridge. If you would only be able to kill it because of the jump bridge, ignore it. That's what I thought but
it would never have been like. It was never a good idea.
It wasn't. But it was
I
fun.
guess it's kind of different with the wormholes because they are, you don't have freighters going to those wormholes.
With the wormholes, I'm not concerned with that. I mean, you might run into a kicky
use anyway.
Yeah, and you might run into a kicky fleet, so you gotta watch out.
True.
It's like
true.
But especially when we map a wormhole, and I tell you, hey, we've got this wormhole map, so that's probably. At times where you better watch out.
I'll start using it soon.
Does that mean I'm going to start getting paid again for mapping all these wormholes?
That's only... I mean, we've got 90% loot at the moment. We still have a couple bill on the wormhole crew wallet too.
I
We'd
know.
They're pretty good. Everything I killed today dropped paste. Like it always dropped. I was like, nice.
The pasta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You never take enough paste when you're soloing. You always have like 110, and I'm like,
You know
bro.
why? Like, because I'm always in the fleet config mindset. And the
Yeah.
fleet chip, generally, you don't need that much paste. Yeah, put 100 paste in there, you're fine, right? You wouldn't put 300 paste in a Munin or 300 paste in something else,
No.
you know? You just don't do that. And that's why it's always like, oh yeah. But I upscaled my paste recently, so I'm doing better on the paste front.
It's the lifeblood, man. Your
It
roam is
sometimes.
over when you can't rep your guns anymore.
Yeah, the problem is the battle cruisers, the attack battle cruisers I've been flying a lot.
Yeah.
If they have Tech 2 guns, man, you can't rep this anymore.
No, you can't. No.
It's
But
the
like the
tornado
mod and the point and stuff, you know.
Yeah, the meta guns from a tornado is actually fine. Right? As long as you play meta guns, it's all right. You can rep it, but in general, it's a little tough. You know what's also on my list? The public fleets stuff. Because I have tried a couple of public fleets, but man, it's way harder, right? But then also,
Is it though? Is it really though?
So it's easier in some ways, it's harder in others, right? So it's easier from an expectation point of view, I think. People expect way less. If I form an init fleet, I felt like for a while, I felt like, man, I can't ever deliver on those expectations, because everyone, like, we had like certain times with like Stukas and stuff, we were killing shit left, right, and center. Battle reports of 90 bill. That's a normal kind of thing, you know. We just kill like 14 carriers and 5 dreads and 7 rockals and defang all our supers, and like next day we kill a that was pretty normal for a while because it was so busy out there. And then suddenly everything changes and there's less targets. And then how do you deliver on those expectations, right? For a while I felt like, ugh, I can't really do it, right? So the expectations for public fleets, for people that, you know, have never like experienced like big scale stuff, way lower. But at the same time, you're flying with random people, and when you fly weird shit, which I love flying weird shit, then it's even harder because you have to explain the weird shit, and you know, and then on top of that, there's only that many destinations at the moment, right? From Jeddah, you can fly to Fred
But I mean,
Space.
it's better than it was, to be honest. It was terrible for a long time.
Yeah, that's
At
true.
least now you can go to Pureblind to fight Brave and the people there. You can go to Vale, fight, you know, FRT. You can, for a while, you could go to Geminate as well. You could go like a Vale, Geminate, and then into Kalevala.
It's
you
sad
can
that
still
Brave's
go
not
in
in
it.
Geminate, huh?
Yeah, but then again, it's not that much further. It's just not as condensed of an area.
Yeah, from a waypoint perspective, you know, it's a little sad. But yeah, I mean, but still, there's like a certain amount of destinations that you can go to with like you know, let's say
From
20
Jeddah,
man, 30 man, 40, 50 man fleets from Jeddah, correct? Yeah, obviously, if you do an MPSI fleet, Jeddah is the spot, right?
Yeah.
And then I felt like maybe certain groups just have too much of a hate boner for me personally. I don't know if they should go that far to say that's like a you know, that's
I don't know, I've heard you talk about it, and every time I'm like, because okay, let's be honest, you're talking about fraternity, and you're talking
and horde, right?
Yeah.
So when I go to those,
I feel like I get really cool fights from them. Like, yes, I'm usually outnumbered against horde, but I mean, there's a lot of them, right?
Yeah, so I don't want to say horde necessarily. Always it happens, right? Yeah. But I like recently I went there. Yeah, numbers were insane at some point, but we had fun. But you can only go there really with a doctrine you're ready to lose too, right? Obviously.
Oh yeah.
So you know, that's another thing that I'm not used to at all. Flying NPSI fleets, you you're setting yourself. You can only fly stuff you know really you're gonna lose, right? So, for example, those Gilas,
they're perfect for T1 cruisers and battle cruisers, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
That's what
and
they're perfect for. They're
it's
not
just-
good for half a bill Draegers and stuff like that.
yeah.
So,
So that's why I think I struggle a little bit with NPSI fleets. But how about you? Tell me what do you think about the whole thing? Like, what do you think I'm doing wrong?
I mean, how many NPSI fleets have you done?
Not that many.
Two,
Five,
3?
5 maybe.
Okay. The last one I saw was the remote
Power
rep
voices.
porpoises.
I still think they're strong.
Absolutely, but you can't just judge one fight and be like, "Oh, NPSI
No,
is
no, no.
there," right?
No.
When then the next day you go and hop into like your perfect Gila setup with all these trained pilots, right? That can fuck up too. I saw you the other day try to take a fucking ESS gate, and it was like,
I'm pretty sure.
like,
I don't know what happened there, dude.
I don't
That
know what
was
happened
Ishtas,
there
by the way.
either. That
Man,
was. I tune in and you're ready. You're in the wormhole. Everyone's like, I was like, holy shit, he's prepped like super hard today. And then I don't think those guys know how much effort goes into getting them to that fucking ESS grade.
They don't.
And then they don't even take it. And you're like a third of your DPS is dead, and they didn't even start the fight.
So-
they just sat there. I was like, bruh.
It was a sad day.
Yeah, was
like-
but so you said like don't judge stuff on like 5 fights. Obviously, I've done so many
Yeah.
fleets. I'm very aware of this, right? But in this particular one, I don't know. I honestly don't know what happened with those guys.
No, I don't either.
But then on top of that, the setup wasn't strong. It just wasn't. Like Last Ishtas are not as strong. Just application wise, you need too many extra tools to make it work properly. And then obviously I was missing.
But you're doing them with sentries instead of just heavy drones.
Yeah, so
You could just run heavy drones
So-
in the ESS, I think.
well,
We
we have what?
like, do you know like the setup with the fit? Because we carry like the 3 different sets of drones. But
Yep.
yeah, he called for sentries.
Yeah, so my one big idea, I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna put it out there. It's not a secret, but Gilas, they have one clear counter, which is smart bombs, right? If you have a shit ton of smart bombs, like what are Gilas gonna do? Like, it is what
Not
it
much.
is. That's one of the ideas why we would even switch to Ishtas, is because they have sentries. You can spread the sentries out, put them out.
Well,
if you have
there's
enough
actually
tanks-
another reason now. Ishtar's are half as cheap.
That is also true. That was also one of the
Can
reasons.
we actually talk about that for a bit? Because how retarded is it that an Ishtar is half the price of a fucking Gila? Like,
I don't know.
what?
You sound very entitled, Bjorn, and I think we shouldn't be entitled to cheap Gilas, but at the same time, I would love to see cheap Gilas too.
Entitled? The
I
fact
think
that
I
all the
should be
pirate
entitled to
cruisers-
cheap Ishtars. So
all the pirate cruisers have like doubled in price.
Yeah,
But the
it's sad.
T2s are the same. They're like,
it's
it
I
doesn't make
agree.
any sense.
I don't know. It's scarcity breeds conflict. You didn't know that?
Fucking
Yeah,
right.
I can't explain it. Right? I don't know
It
why
doesn't
you
make
would want
any
that.
sense. Why would you overhaul your entire industry thing and then leave it like this? With the
Well,
best,
I tell you
strongest
why.
fleet ships being the
I tell-
cheapest of everything. Like,
Tell you why. Whoever is in charge of that probably doesn't care about Gilas and stuff. That's my guess, right? So whoever does the scarcity stuff has never
But
been in a
someone
Gila.
has to care there, or they wouldn't be. If they didn't at
Some
all, they
people
wouldn't
care.
do any overhaul. They
I
wouldn't.
don't think it's a not caring issue. I think it's just a not having a grasp of the second and third order effects of changes that are made, which is like the same thing that can be said for any change that really gets made in Eve.
Yeah, but guess what? A guy who flies around solo in Starflake, cruisers, Gilas, flying Ishtars, whatever, that guy would know. And then he would care about it. Someone who has never done this and does this change and then gets told like, how about this? How about the prices here?
I mean, we've let
If
them settled
that-
now for
yeah.
half a year, right? It's like half a year since the changes happened.
Yeah.
And now we're kind of seeing where things are settling. Like all the Navy cruisers are in kind of the same place they were in before.
Battleships are
That's-
insanely expensive.
Yeah. But all the other T2 stuff, which has been Like, I'm not saying that I would like to see Ishtar's cost 800 mil because Gila's cost 400. I don't think that's the way to go.
I'm not suggesting that, right?
No,
Obviously.
but I don't think that a Gila is worth, or like an Orthrus worth half a bill. It just isn't. 500 mil for an Orthrus, or you're like, what?
Yeah, I agree.
Like a Stratios is 400 mil. Like, what are you? A Stratios for 400? Like, why would you?
It would be different if, I don't know, if people would have more ISK for it, that would make more sense. I mean, you have a ton of ISK. You don't have to really worry about it. But
that has nothing to do with this.
But it's the principle.
No, that has nothing to do with my views of what things are worth.
Yeah, well, true. Yes, but like I'm just suggesting, or not suggesting, but like just saying the scarcity part is maybe not necessarily how expensive, like what's the price tag, but how much money do people actually have to fly this kind of stuff, right? So you're in a unique position.
But I thought that's kind of like was the point of like scarcity itself, though, was to like drain the reserves of Eve, basically.
Sadly.
Oh no, it's made all the people who were rich richer, 100%.
Right, but I think that was their intent, though. Like with the scarcity, it breeds conflict, whatever. But in my brain, it's like, okay, so scarcity makes everything more expensive on the market, which makes everything more valuable to people, which in reality doesn't actually make people want to go out and lose.
Remember the fucking Brawler's Paradise that we got? The Brawler's Paradise
that
patch?
Was sad. Bro. I mean, I like parts of it were great, and parts of it were completely, trash. As just all this, right? For example, the Tech 2 close range ammo buff. I think that was
cool,
solid.
Sure, but it's not a Brawler's Paradise. No, a brawler needs to tank.
There's no brawling going on anymore, right? Learn to kite.
Not even in wormholes anymore, which used to be like the brawl place.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yep. That's the meta is exactly that. Don't brawl. That's the meta, right? It's not even kite. It's just like do anything, but don't brawl, right? Don't ever get yourself scram webbed, because that's the end of it, basically, right? Just be out of scram web range. Huge brawl meta, duh. Yeah. That's the thing. That's one of those rare cases where they made changes and then they put their intent out there too. So they can't deny. They can't say like, oh yeah, no, this is fine. This is what we wanted. Like, no. You failed with your objective, right? They have to admit that. The objective failed, so they should adjust it, right? Technically. That's how I see it anyway. But I think they're too busy. I think at the moment they're too busy doing new stuff instead of like going back to say, okay, actually let's revisit this and see.
I feel like they've gotten better at revisiting things, though.
They got better. But I also think it's, I don't know which team was the Brawler's Paradise thing. I'm not sure that it should fall into like Rise's category, right? If you think about it, with like balancing and stuff, he usually is involved there. So, and Rise's team is usually super fast with reiterating. So now I'm like, I don't know if that's actually, I don't know which team it was, right? So I'd be surprised if it was Rise, but then again, it should have been Rise in the first place. So, yeah, but they should revisit that stuff, right? Was that the same set of changes with the resist nerf?
They came with the same. That was the brawling paradise thing.
Yeah.
You were meant to be able to get closer and do more damage with close range guns, and your target was meant to be able to die quicker because it had less resists.
Yeah.
But in turn, it just made it so much better to actually fly your ship and kite and shoot someone from range. If they never shot you back to begin with, they were even squishier to kill.
Yeah. I still believe, and I said that many times, that long range guns should probably have some penalty, be it a speed penalty, be it something else. But I just believe I don't know. You shouldn't have the same base attributes on a ship if you fit it for long range with artillery compared to like autocannons, right? If you compare that with like real life scenario, like an artillery, like a self-propelled artillery like piece, they're gonna be the fastest, you know.
It's not going to be the most mobile. It's not gonna...
Exactly, you know. They're gonna go around and scout and stuff. Like you could do anything with a Munin, right? Let's be honest. Like it's the obvious, like the champion of all kitey bullshit meta ships, right? It's just so meh. Yeah, you know, and I don't know why it takes so long. Right? It's so obvious and has been there for so long. Like there needs to be some drastic kind of change. You can't just nerf the what did they nerf last time? Some tracking, some optimal. I forgot what they did actually, but like it just doesn't cut it, right?
Usually they hit just one ship, which seems to be the problem child of
and then the
that
next one
thing,
comes
which
along.
is and then sometimes they'll like with the Loki nerf, they nerfed its power grid, and then just to spite the Legion, they nerfed its power grid too at the same time, or something like that. But like it did not need a nerf in any kind of way. Like it was really weird how sometimes they, they'll hit one ship for something instead of, like you're saying, take a whole overhaul to the whole.
Or to the it's not the hull, right? It's the guns. It's the guns that need.
You've talked about adding mass to guns and making.
Yes,
you've had really cool ideas about it.
What I meant was actually speed, right? When I said mass, because I just brought up mass because obviously there's already, like, let's say plates, for example, they have mass. They have a penalty that way, right? That's why I kept like saying mass on guns. But like, I think a speed penalty, right? The gun with the highest penalty, that's the penalty you get, right? If you have like, it's not like you get an extra penalty for every gun you fit. That would be ridiculous and hard to balance first of all. But I think if, like, let's say if you fit 1400s arties or 720s, right, on a Munin, yeah, get a 20% speed cut. You know, why not, right? If you only fit 650s, maybe it's only 15%. If you fit autocannons,
it's just such a huge thing to now go and tackle. Like, I don't envy the person who has to overhaul this, because then everything has now been made into this meta. Like, how do you revisit everything?
Every ship? You mean like the theory crafts for all the alliances?
No. Like how do you balance this basically from CCP's point of view? It is such a rough task. They talk about wanting to like make a meaningful choice between 720s and 650s, and like right now it's always the furthest hitting one is the best.
Yeah,
because range is king, right?
Yeah, and it wouldn't change all that much when it comes to that. If you picked between arties, 650s and 720s, you would still go whenever you can with the 720s. But if let's say they have a less
Rice talked about this on your last thing. He wants there to be a reason for him to pick 650s because of the tracking or because of this or because of that. Or
at the moment it's a fitting thing, right? I think honestly, I don't think that's actually a major issue. He was also talking about all the meta guns having different attribute advantages, right? Like, for example, a scout artillery would have more range but less tracking, and then the other one has more tracking, less range, whatever, right? So this kind of stuff would make sense too, I guess. That's already kind of the case in with some mods, if you think about it. For example, some EWAR mods need less cap, right? Like, I don't know, with the dams, that I think it's called LFT. It uses,
thingy,
it uses way less cap, for example, right? So you can make choices there, right? And so I don't think that's actually, you would actually have to go that far, to be honest. I think if you just look at all the guns and you say all the longest range guns on all platforms, they just get that 20% penalty roundabout, and then you just look at the ships. Where do we end up? Does any ship end up in a weird place? And if not, go with it. And if it does, revisit it and have a look. I don't know. I didn't run all the numbers, but I think it can't be too crazy, right? And then the highest penalty just counts, right? It's not, if you fit one 720, you get a 20% penalty. And if the rest is 650s, whatever, right? But yeah, I think that it would make sense. I think at least I would say that's the kind of change it requires to actually change things. You can't like yes, it's nice to have someone take care of like certain little attributes on ships and stuff. It's great, yeah, but it doesn't cut it. Like we need more, way more, right? Like more like what do you call it? More drastic, I guess. But yeah, I'm not gonna pretend I know everything.
No, but it's such a difficult web of things. Like all of the things together that have been like changed and adjusted and patched over the last year or something, it just reinforced like the hack meta more and more and more and more. Everything from like everything they've done. It's always more speed is always better, more range is always better. So, and then the price right now as well. You're like, that's all we should ever be flying. Like, let's just delete all the other ships. just have hacks.
Yeah, I don't know if a 20% speed nerf would actually change the meta enough, right? And I'm just talking 20% because if you think about it, if you fit up Immunin now, well, let's fit an overdrive or two, The range and speed is still so important, right? So it's like, does it actually change much? I don't know, right? Where's the sweet spot? You would have to like run through all these numbers, but I think there is something there.
I don't envy the guy who has to actually plan and prep all this though, because it's such a tangled web at the moment.
But wouldn't you, let's be honest here, wouldn't you love to sit down if you know you can make these changes? If you decide at the end of the day, let's say you have like a month or so sitting down running on, you can at the end of the day press a button and make those changes actually? You would sit down and fucking do it anyway, and you would enjoy it. Because at the end of the day, you can make those changes. You'd have to revert
so many things that CCP's been doing. Because on top of it, you also have to reevaluate the industry changes. You have to reevaluate the patch that made all the tanking. What's it called again? That patch again, surgical strike patch. You have to reevaluate all these things that they've been doing over the last couple of years. Be like, was this the right step or not? First of all, do we just need to undo this? And like don't undo the industry stuff. Like that's gonna take a long time to settle into something. So we're stuck in this what it is now for a long time,
Yeah, I mean it's not a quick thing. If you want to do things right, that's the path you have to take though, right? If you want to do things absolutely right, there's no you can't cut corners and shit. It just doesn't get the results at the end of the day.
Well, remember we had a chat with someone not too long ago before all the industry stuff. We were talking about how we felt everything was in such a cool, balanced place. Like we even felt like battleships at that time, this was like about a year ago, battleships were in such a cool place, like price-wise versus, and then since then, they have like shot up in price. Their insurance has been nerfed to shit. Like all these other things have happened. We're like, you go in the wrong direction. What are you doing? Like,
yeah.
I don't get it, man.
I do remember actually. I do remember saying exactly that. Like, oh man, balance-wise, we're actually in a decent place. That's
and then that table was fucking flipped, and now we're here. Yeah. So, like, you'd have to go back and undo a bunch of shit first. I don't know.
Yeah. Battleships suffered the most, right? And everyone's asking for it. Everyone's asking for battleships. But man, getting battleships anywhere, is such a pain. So why would you do that to yourself? For what? For like 100 DPS extra that don't apply anyway because you're in a battleship? And, and then you're like a big fucking target for someone's toy ship. Like someone's like, oh, finally I can use my fucking hovercraft. Right? It's like, that's your fucking, it's, I mean, that's the reality, right? It's,
And then you just get bombed anyway, Like Rock Insane.
Dude, I love bombing. Right? Obviously, I think people are aware that I love bombing stuff, but at the moment you can't bomb shit, right? I'm telling you, it's so hard to land any sort of bomb run. Unless you have the bombers on anchor and you're doing like some Stuka style stuff or whatever, like, you experimented with it, and then people make mistakes and then you can catch them, right? It's totally possible to land stuff, sure. But in general, in a fight, not happening, especially on battleships. The EHP is big enough for battleships to be fairly safe against bombs, actually. You need to really bring some massive bomber fleet to handle battleships, I think. And then defenders on top of it, you can smart bomb the bombers are not in a oppressive kind of state. They might work here and there, but like overall, nobody has to be worried about that. Trust me. Especially when it comes to bigger fights where big bomber fleets would show up. Not happening. Not happening.
I can't really speak to that. I'm not experienced enough in that department.
Do you remember actually the episode 63 with Suetonia, 3 tiers, Casper, and so on?
Yeah.
That was actually right before the formation warps.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that was brought up. I'm not sure if I brought it up or someone else, that people say like, yeah, bomber fleets are going to suffer from this. But we didn't really talk about it all that much. But yeah, it had like, just from a bomber's perspective, it had really like a negative effect, right? But that's only for that one aspect of the game. Because that number one opportunity where you can bomb stuff is on warping. And that's totally gone now, right? In larger scale fleets, they will always warp in a like plane, wall, sphere formation, something. You're never gonna land stuff there. And there was ways to counter bombs before that anyway. Like we did that so many times with full Raven fleets, for example, on big set piece like Keepstar timers and stuff, where people would be prepared. And several bomber fleets are there. Yeah, warp your dictator in first, and you land right after. And if there's a bubble, they can't bomb you, not effectively anyway. But it is what it is.
Yep.
Oh yeah, the capital sites. What's your take on that? On those ones? Have you seen any actually?
Nope, I've not seen a single one anywhere. I'm not like massively opposed to there being like, I tried them on the Sissy on that server. Very interested in them. But I don't think I'm ever going to run one. I don't know if that is the right approach, this whole anchor thing, and then spawn an anomaly on you. Like, why are we getting that now when they were shutting down all the capital ships who were naturally in space before? Like, I don't know. It's kind of weird. On one end, they're like, let's nerf all that stuff to the ground. And then, oh, but you wanted those in space, so here's a thing to put them back in space in like a weird way. You're like, I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, so we have caught a handful of people doing these, and I've seen them around. There's a couple problems with them, but overall, I think they are a decent addition to the game. It's an opportunity to catch something big.
Better than just having a carrier in a haven.
Yeah, I was surprised too when they did this like more complicated thing, but like the way Rice explained it, it was more like it's easier for them to balance it on their own now. But at the same time, I don't know. Right, I was surprised too. I thought they're gonna put a site in there behind the gate. Actually, that's what I thought, like incursion style. So you have to gate in. And then, they're a little bit exposed, but, it's kind of flawed too, because once you're in your line, there's no one else going to catch you. Right? But you are way longer exposed because you have to land, you have to align again, warp into this thing, and then align again. So it's a little bit longer. That's what I thought they would do, but, I'm not opposed to them. The exploit.
No, I'm not either. I just.
What do you want to say?
I'm not opposed to them either. I don't.
No.
I don't know why be against, from CCP's perspective. Why are you against capitals printing money like they were first, to then nerf all the capitals so they can't anymore, and then they'll deploy this so you get capitals back in speed. It's kind of weird. I don't know.
Yeah, I think, I mean, in this case, it's what Rice said, right? Before that, they would do the sub-cap sites and then make a shit ton of money because of that. But now it's actual capital sites, so capitals have to have a decent tank to actually handle these. You can't just sit there with your non-tank Nitty and just murder the entire site in seconds.
True.
So, and then to strike the right balance, it's way easier for them because it's only capitals in that site. So, it's way more, it's easier for them to access the whole thing, right? And
I guess, yeah.
I guess from a balance perspective, that's probably the main reason why they do it like this. That exploit, just to explain it to people what actually happened there. So CCP put out a statement that it's considered an exploit and you will get banned or whatever if you anchor the site in a place where nobody else could warp to it. So the reason for that is what people did was actually they got a spot just far enough from the ESS to warp to that spot, but it's right on the border. So they land outside the ESS range where you would land on the ESS beacon, and then they drift in and anchor there, like, I don't know, a couple km in. So anyone who then warps to that crab thing lands on the ESS instead. And then obviously has no chance to get onto the crab.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't know why they didn't just expand the maximum anchor range. Kind of weird because it's set on 500 meters or 500 km. I forgot. If they set that to 100,000, then you couldn't do it either. You don't need that exploit kind of thing. But it is what it is again.
You're gonna be that guy who plays Eve once in a blue moon every 7 months. What are you talking about?
Yeah, he has been playing a lot lately.
What are you talking about?
But you have been
You're streaming like a madman lately.
Yeah, you have been home visiting family, right? But you've been still streaming from there.
Yeah, I was in Iceland for 4 months and I streamed there, and then I came back. I took like 5-6 days off.
Well, someone's disappointed.
You have a good time at least.
Oh, yeah.
It's always
Very
good to get
needed
home
time.
for a while. Yeah, good to hear. Yeah. What else on my list? AT stuff. I'm not an.
It's
AT
actually the
player.
first time I'm actually excited for it. For some reason, even though I'm like a solo and now a small gang kind of enthusiast, I enjoy that gameplay along with other gameplays as well. I enjoy FCing big fleets too, but now I finally kind of caught the AT bug where I'm actually hyped to watch these matches. I'm actually really hyped to go and sit and watch them over the next. I think it's the next couple of weekends, right?
Yeah. So
Not the one now, but the one.
I think it's 3 weekends in a row now.
The 6th and 7th, and then the weekend after that, I think as well.
Yeah, I think it's the next 3 weekends where the AT is taking place.
Yeah.
And I personally I don't know. I'll have a look. I'm not super hyped, but I know a lot of people are hyped.
Yeah.
The return of the AT.
I think it's great. It's coming back for sure.
Yeah. I was a little sad when they put the trailer out at the wrong time. You know what I mean? It's everyone was asking for certain things, scarcity to end and everything. Nobody got anything, and then they're like, "Hey, by the way, AT's coming back."
Big announcement.
Yeah,
Everybody
exactly.
great huge announcement, and everyone was like,
I don't think they needed a backlash for that. Come on.
No, they didn't. But the timing wasn't good. So, they failed on the timing a little bit. I said right away, it's like, dudes, it's still a positive, right? Let's not be negative about it.
It means people are coming back who they
But I totally
pushed out of the game by not having the AT.
I
right?
totally got the thing though, right? The people were like, "Oh my god!"
I mean, the meme back then,
seriously? No.
all 4 of the people who participate are gonna enjoy this.
Yeah.
Honestly, genuinely, I'm hyped that it's back. I think it's cool. I think it's a really cool part of the gameplay that we have these theory crafters who only focus on this part as well. And these small gangers who train and train and train to do this. And I think the ships that are coming are pretty interesting too. I haven't seen any stats, but it seem really spooky to run into. If
All
I ever
right.
do. It's going to be like a Garmer with a damp bonus. Imagine like a Garmer and a Carries had a baby child.
That damn Garmo. I fought that against Jabby in a 1-on-1. He fucked
No,
me
but
up.
like an actual bonus damp Garmer.
Yeah.
And then there's going to be a Hick Orthrus, the fastest Hick in the game.
That's
going to be
that's not
sick,
too bad.
dude.
That's not too bad. Someone's asking, Pando and Bjorn, any teams you're going for? Like, I'm rooting for Casper. He's always getting second place. I want him to win. I'm rooting for him. Also, it's not official or anything, but he's probably going to be on like right after AT. We'll see how it all plays out.
Yeah.
Any teams you're rooting for?
Not really. I'm just hyped about the actual competition and like rewatching matches. There was all these matches where like certain comps worked that like you weren't sure. You're seeing like this ban and pig face kind of thing. I think they do it in a really cool way. It's like it's exciting to watch.
All right.
And especially when you're like betting the CCP channel points on their channel to get skins and stuff, like that part was super cool too. I'm sure it was like amazing to watch this back in the day when people could bet on these betting sites for like ISK. I'm sure
you didn't watch at that time?
No, I wasn't interested at all back then.
It's Soma Blink and stuff, man.
Yeah, no,
that was craziness. I mean,
right then it just flew right over my head.
I don't remember. Soma Blink didn't have any betting stuff, I believe. But yeah,
was it not?
That was always Eve bet and stuff. I forgot which side it was. Yeah, but you could bet on it, of course. That was it was fun. I kind of miss Soma Blink. Well, how's the hyper led relay doing anyway? Is it actually people use it?
Yeah, I mean, Cheetah Local is spammed with it constantly, but like, I don't know. I don't pay any attention to it.
Yeah, well, same. Well, I would say we're pushing 1.5 hours. If anyone has any good questions, put them in there. You better highlight because I missed them all. Miranda usually pays attention to the chat.
Haven't been many, just memes mostly.
That's what I thought, guys. You gotta up your game to get on Miranda's radar here. All right. But yeah. Wait,
I think you should do more public fleets for sure. That's anything I'll leave you with.
It's so much harder though.
I mean, people keep saying that too.
Yeah.
So
there's so much freedom in living in like we're getting to do public fleets from Jita because you're like in the supermarket of Eve, right?
That is true. You know what?
Any comp you want. You don't have to do any background work. Just undock whatever you tell them to fly. And
our market is pretty seeded though.
Sure, but it's never going to be as seeded as Jita. Come on.
No, some things are cheaper, but mostly it's more expensive. But yeah, I think it needs the right comp to do it. You know what? Actually, tomorrow I'm going to do a fleet. It's not a public fleet, but I'm going to do some tornadoes.
Nice.
But for those who wonder, it's going to be after downtime, kind of. But yeah, I might just do more public fleets. I'll do one here and there. For anyone who is interested, just join the in-game channel Zapando, and you'll find it there in MOTD whenever I decide to do one. But yeah, you're always welcome to do a fleet with Bombers Bar. Would be a perfect match. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that,
Yeah.
Doing fleets. No, I'm not shitting on Bombers Bar. I'm just saying I'm not the perfect match for you guys, I think. Because I really never do hunting with bombers at the moment. I haven't done it with bombers for a while, but yeah. And I don't even know how you run this whole thing at this point. Like, how have you like hunters and all that stuff? Maybe we should make an FC chat episode about Bombers Bar, and you can convince me to run some fleets. I don't know. Shut down. That's not what I meant it. God damn it. Oh, all right. I think we're just gonna call it before I dig my grave even deeper, right?
I was gonna sit here and just watch it.
Bjorn, thanks for coming.
Thanks.
Always a pleasure. Always fun to talk to you. And yeah, for everyone on the stream, thanks for hanging out. And see you guys tomorrow, probably after downtime. Alright, and whoever gets the skin, congrats. Alrighty, bye bye.
Bye.